In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement, a product of Market Advisory Group. It's the weekly show that keeps you in the know about all things retirement. I'm Rick Everett, your host, along with Financial Advisor Larry Kloefkorn of Market Advisory Group. Larry, welcome in.
Thank you.
A little bit about Market Advisory Group. If someone were to ask you, what is Market Advisory Group, what would your response be?
Well, we are a financial and retirement firm, advisory firm, and we manage money for people as they near retirement and throughout retirement. We focus on risk management and growth simultaneously. And another aspect that is important, we're not the only ones, but we take it as very important because it's the approach we want to take, is that we are licensed by the SEC, we are fiduciaries, and what that means is we do what is in the client's best interest.
How does that differentiate from other investment firms that might be out there?
Well, other firms that may be out there that are not fiduciaries, they go by a much lower standard. All they have to do is say that it is suitable for a person. Well, you can make almost any financial product suitable for someone. I mean, at least you could justify it as such. And so that's a big difference between doing what's in their best interest. And when I say that, doing what's in the client's best interest, it's their best interest before our own.
So in a firm that may not be a fiduciary, there's the potential that investment advisor that's not held to the fiduciary standard could steer someone toward a product, whether an exchange-traded fund or a mutual fund, that pays him a higher commission than if he were working in the client's best interest?
Yes, that is the case. They could. I'm not saying that they all would,
right,
but they certainly could. And oftentimes they involve loaded products. And just a simple definition of loaded products is money that comes out of your money to pay for whatever that might be. And the most common one is what's called Class A shares, where at the very beginning, as soon as that broker sells you a mutual fund, 5% or more comes out of your money and goes to the broker as his commission.
Larry, how long have you been in the field of investments?
I got started in 2002. Danny, one of the partners here, and I have known each other since we were 18 years old. And then later in life, we crossed paths again. And then we decided to start working together, and that's where we started to begin and then evolve.
So when did Market Advisory Group get its start?
In 2014, we pulled together Market Advisory Group, and that happened to be when I got the license with the SEC as a fiduciary. And so it started out as Danny and myself, and then his son, Matt. And as we started working together, we liked what was happening, and we saw great possibilities of how we could really serve the public as well. We started doing educational workshops, and then we formally organized as Market Advisory Group with the state in 2015.
Larry, why did you start, you and your partners, why did you start I mean, you could be doing this individually. Danny could be doing it individually. There's a uniqueness about Market Advisory Group that people don't find in other firms.
Well, that's true. And so why did we decide to do that? And I guess because we each brought something to the table that helped to make us more complete. And in that process, we started seeing great possibilities of how we could add others as part of Market Advisory Group that would help us more fully help the client.
Now, when you initially formed, it's my understanding that you weren't working as fiduciaries. So when that decision was made, on what was that decision based?
Well, I like to describe it as the baby boomers were starting to enter the market. They were starting to enter retirement, in other words, or at least approaching it. And the baby boomers were a little more sophisticated than had been their previous group that preferred us to come to their home. So it started becoming obvious to me and the others that, you know, what we really need is to be able to offer more to the client, and so that we could better serve them holistically.
Now, so far in this segment of Eye on Retirement, we've talked about the investment portion, but Market Advisory Group is much more than just investment management.
It is. One of the key components that we found in meeting the holistic thing, and the first piece that we added was an estate planning attorney. And so we'll talk about that some more here in a little bit. Then the next component we added was a CPA. And the reason for that is it's programmed into us that we are not allowed to give tax advice. Well, okay, then let's add someone who is licensed to give tax advice. And so that came, and then later Medicare advisors as well.
And so at Market Advisory Group, you have the ability and the tools, if you will, to have that whole team present when you're sitting down and visiting with someone?
Oh, yes. And we can oftentimes do it on call, so to speak. Now, sometimes when people are coming in, they tell us that they're going to want to talk about something in particular. But that gives us a clue, and if that's the case, then we might have them on hand when they arrive. But otherwise, I can walk 20 feet down the hallway and I can grab a CPA or an estate planning attorney, and they can come in and help address matters that is really helpful to the public.
Do you feel that when you're visiting with a client and that tax question comes up, to have a CPA, an actual CPA come into the room and offer their guidance, I would have to think that puts the client at ease?
It does. In fact, I've described at times how you can physically see them start to relax. You can see their body, their face. You can see that they have confidence, because our CPAs are very good and very knowledgeable. And if they need to go get an answer on something, they can pick it up in seconds. They know how to get that answer in seconds. So it's really amazing, you know, what this adds to the advisory firm.
At Market Advisory Group, they practice holistic retirement planning, whether it's the investment aspect, tax planning, Medicare, or estate planning, as Larry just mentioned. If you would like to set up a complimentary consultation with Market Advisory Group on any of those topics, please, we have our operators standing by, and you can call at 316-252-8707. Again, that's 316-252-8707, or go to our website, eyeonretirement.com, where you can also book a consultation. And if you have a question for us, leave it on our website at eyeonretirement.com. In fact, if you leave your physical address so that we can mail you one, we will be glad to send you an Eye on Retirement mug. Always looking out for you. We are Ion Retirement, and we'll be back right after this.
When people work with Market Advisor Group, they get a feel of sense of family. There's a lot of relationships that are made and going on in this conference room, and we really take a lot of pride in that and a lot of satisfaction in that.
Every client we work with, we make a custom-made plan to fit them and help reach their goals in life. And then another thing that makes us unique is we want to meet quarterly with our clients and have reviews.
Market Advisory Group, we have a process, and the process we take people through is first to understand what they have, understand who they are, and then we put together an income plan for them and show them how they can look forward to retirement and not look, though retirement is going to be a stressful time. It needs to be a stress-free time.
A few unique features of working with Market Advisor Group is holistic in-house financial consultants. We've got an in-house CPA, Joshua, an in-house estate planning attorney, Gerald, an in-house Medicare advisor, Bill. We rely on all of those professionals for, again, additional service within our consultative process, making sure that we've got the advice and the expertise behind the recommendations that we make.
You know, as an advisor, I'm not there to sell them one way or the other. I'm there to educate them, to let them know what their choices are. Then I try to help them make the right choice where they can save money and feel confident in their decision.
Absolutely the best part of my job is getting a stack of paperwork from somebody and they don't know what to do, and then I can turn around and give them back a tax return, but also to be able to explain what they can do next year that will give them a better answer than what they had this year.
When we've got clients that are calling and they need to help out a child or need to help out a grandchild or need to help themselves out and they're in a situation they didn't expect to be in, I really relish the opportunity to help them through that, help them make the educated decisions in somewhat stressful situations, because a lot of folks don't have that type of counsel.
We meet with so many people one-on-one in this office that don't ever end up becoming a customer or doing business with us, and that's okay. But when they leave our office, we know that we've helped them either get some answers to some of the questions they had or get some clarity on maybe their own path.
But one of the things that we hear all the time is, I wish I would have met you guys 10 years ago, because how much further could I be down the road? Well, Johnny Appleseed said, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. And so if we can help people today going forward, that just brings an incredible amount of comfort and excitement for us to come to work every day.
Hi, and welcome back into Ion Retirement. Each week on the show, we put up a phone number. We invite you to go to our website to schedule a complimentary consultation. With me on this episode of Ion Retirement, partner and investment advisor with Market Advisory Group, Larry Kloefkorn. Larry, what do people say are the reasons that they choose to have a first meeting with you?
That's a good topic. Whether they come to us through watching a show like this, or it be Retire Hour, or it be through educational workshops that we do around town, we extend an invitation for them to come in and sit down for a complimentary consultation. So when they arrive, one of the things I do that I say to them is, you took us up on our invitation to come in and meet with us. You probably did that because you have something on your mind. We've allotted a certain amount of time to do this. So let's talk about what you want to talk about. So that way I put it into their hands, because if I just start talking to someone, Rick, and it's not what they really are interested in, I'm just wasting their time. And so I'd rather find out what it is that's on their mind and what brought them in.
And we understand that not every potential client may be a good fit for Market Advisory Group, but we want to have the opportunity to listen to what their concerns are. And so when you have someone in on their first visit, what are some of the responses you get from people?
Okay, more commonly this is happening is people say, yeah, we understand that you can't have the whole picture under one roof. So that's getting around. People are starting to understand that, and they're picking it up through these different venues. And so with that in mind, oftentimes their initial questions has something to do with taxes for their retirement. It has something to do with maybe some estate planning needs that they have. So we're able to discuss that with them. And of course, they're also usually interested in how we go about investing money. And they have questions concerning what possibly is the advantages of not just leaving their money in their 401k. And so it gives us opportunity to talk about those things. But it's very common for people to feel that they need more of a holistic approach. They need answers.
Mm-hmm. And many more times often than not, we are the right fit. But I think it's important for the viewers to understand they're under no obligation to come in and meet with us.
That's true. And in fact, sometimes people will cross paths with us, and at that moment, whether at a workshop or whether watching one of our shows, at that moment they might not need to. But then something comes up a few months later and they realize, wow, I ought to call those guys and sit down and have a talk with them. And so that oftentimes happens as well. Rick, I had a gentleman that came in. He's a professional here in town, and he was not fully retired. In fact, he was just planning to retire in the next 2 or 3 years. And he made a statement to me that I've remembered ever since, because I thought it was a great way to articulate it. He said, I just don't want to stumble into retirement.
Very poignant.
Yes. So here was a gentleman that was very educated, and he was able to manage things throughout his career, but he knew when it came to retirement, he was going to need some help, and he wanted a plan. And I think that's important for people to know, that we can actually plan out for them what their retirement can look like.
We hear the term risk tolerance or risk analysis. Is that more often than not the first thing that you try to offer a potential client as they come in and sit down and visit with you?
Well, it depends. It's certainly a component if the conversation turns to how do we approach money management. And definitely one of the key components, as I said earlier, is risk management, but at the same time, simultaneously, we want to have growth for their accounts. And the importance of watching the account balance. So many advisors out there, they just focus on the average rate of return. Well, the average rate of return tells you something, but it doesn't tell you everything. Your account balance truly lets you know how you're doing and how you're progressing.
Back in the day, our parents and grandparents would tell us, stay the course when you're investing. If it goes down, just stay the course, because it'll come back up eventually and everything will be okay, per se. A set it and forget it type approach. And in a lot of cases, in fact, the majority of cases, as people are nearing retirement, that may not be the best strategy.
Right. And that would have very little risk management involvement or approach to it. That's you called it the right things. Another word for it is passive investing. And a lot of people throughout their careers, while they've been working and contributing to their retirement account, that's what they've been doing. They've been just sitting back and leaving it alone, and somewhat the recoveries from bear markets and recoveries from big corrections are a little bit, camouflage isn't quite the right word for it, but it gives them a false sense of security because they think that they recovered more quickly than they did. But what was actually the big component to their recovery was what they were contributing and adding to their account. And when they're in retirement, it's just the opposite, because most of the time They are supplementing income, so they're taking money from their retirement accounts. And we truly believe that they can't afford to leave all their money at risk to the market. The market can take huge swings, and through no fault of their own, they could be nearly decimated with what happens.
Most of us only get one shot at a life savings. Isn't it worth a second look to make sure that you have the best plan in effect that you could possibly have? At Market Advisory Group, we offer you a holistic approach to retirement. Not just the financial advising, but tax advice from a CPA and a qualified professional tax team, as well as market Medicare services and Eidelman Law Firm when it comes to planning those estate issues. And we're able to bring them all to one table to serve you. We'll be right back with more Eye on Retirement right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hi, and welcome back into Eye on Retirement. I'm Rick Everett, along with partner Larry Kloefkorn with Market Advisory Group. He's also a financial advisor. And Larry, we've talked a lot today about the different aspects of Market Advisory Group and services that we offer. When that appointment is set and people come into you, and I'm curious, what do they say are the reasons that they have chosen you to manage their money?
Yeah, it has a lot of reasons that we've briefly touched on. Without a doubt, some of those things is they like a risk management approach, knowing that they're not going to get wiped out because of market volatility and that it's through no fault of their own. No one cares about their money more than they do. You know, that's just the truth. And so finding an advisor that is responsive to that and make sure that we have their best interests in mind and that we can pull in at any given moment specialized expertise such as CPAs to address tax matters. Oftentimes those will be specific questions. Other times they just say, you know, we heard in Eye on Retirement and we heard in a workshop that tax planning is an important part. And so sometimes they just want to bring, you know, the CPAs in to talk about tax planning. And so that's one reason. Another reason is that, you know, not only do we have that, but the Medicare help from those advisors. We have the estate planning. That's obviously important. But I think one of the most important aspects is that people choose us because they like our standard practice of giving quarterly reviews. You wouldn't believe how many people come and say, one of the reasons we're here is because we can sit down with you face to face. That has become a big deal. And it's a little surprising in this technological world that we're living in where so much is going to Zoom. So they're not happy with those relationships of advisors that all they can do is talk through them that way. They want to meet with someone across the table.
Well, there's that, and in tandem with that is investment advisors, as you said earlier in the show, are not supposed to be giving tax advice. So in having everybody in-house, my guess is, more often than not, they're not just talking to the financial advisor.
That's right. But I oftentimes ask them, you know, what did your advisor or your broker or whoever is helping you, what did they tell you about taxes? Well, they told me I couldn't talk about taxes. They couldn't talk about taxes, but they could refer me to a CPA to go talk to, and then they just get bounced and forth. And it's frustrating for people. It is frustrating.
It would seem to me like a lot of communication could get lost when you have people on different ends of town and one person who's seeking help trying to muddle through it all.
That's right. A lot gets lost, and a lot becomes more confusing. And so, you know, that face-to-face ability of meeting with someone local, and then having the expertise of these different advisors in these different fields be able to step in and join a conversation at any given point.
And if you would like to set up a complimentary consultation with Market Advisory Group, please do so. You can call our phone number. We have operators standing by right now at 316-252-8707. Also, if you would like to go ahead and set up a complimentary consultation online, you can do that at ionretirement.com. Also, on ionretirement.com's website, you'll find past episodes of Ion Retirement, or perhaps you joined this one halfway through. You can find the first part of that on there also. And if you would care to leave your physical address when submitting a question, we'll be more than happy to provide you with one of our Ion Retirement coffee mugs. And you can also find us on Facebook. Larry Kloefkorn, it has been so great to have you with us in this edition of Ion Retirement.
Thank you, Rick.
We look forward to having all you back with us as well. Again, our website, ionretirement.com. If you would like to set up an appointment now during the course of the show or even later, you can do so at 252-8707.
This broadcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or is excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Services offered by Edelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. This broadcast is copyrighted by Market Media Network. All rights reserved. Brought to you by Market Advisory Group. Invested in you. Call 316-252-8707. That's 316-252-8707.